So I finally finished episodes 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. I don't know how you guys binge shows. Like, I don't have the stamina to binge an entire thing. And you know what? The first two episodes were like, for me, it was like a lot of like lackluster storylines, a lot of like characters where you're like, I don't know what you're doing here, I don't know what you're doing here. So we spoke about, like, the first video we ranked the characters from most boring to the most interesting, and that list of characters and that ranking kind of remains the same for the remainder of the series. Like, I wouldn't really change the positioning. I think the people who were ranked as boring, they remain boring through the entirety of the series, and the people who are most interesting, who have a storyline, who stand out and continue to be like the center of the show for the remainder of the series. But I mostly want to, between episodes 3 and 7, a lot happens, and a lot of it centers around Annie, her insecurity regarding her relationship with Two-Face, who has been a serial cheater and like the messy type, like the Tristan Thompson type, the one who brings home like babies and God knows what else. So the remainder of the episode centers around Annie, her relationship with Two-Face, some tension between Zari and Annie, because Zari, she is so disrespectful, y'all. I think what I really picked up on and what I actually want to talk about in this review is, number one, the perpetuating struggle love. I tried not to judge Annie. I think this entire series, Annie is kind of her storyline, and all the things that she went through with her husband and his cheating and the side babies and how she met him young. And I think that was the most relatable, meatiest storyline. And I said so from my first review, that the only person who has a real storyline worth talking about is Annie. Annie brought her real life to the table. Everybody else kept it PG-13. Andile, his life is kind of messy. He's got 2 baby mamas that I'm convinced he's still sleeping with. Khanyi Mbao and her man Kudzi have a toxic relationship, but she clearly hid that from the Netflix series. Nadia didn't show her relationship with Vic Mensa. She didn't take us with her to Mexico, so she didn't really bring much content either. Swanky Jerry, he brought fashion but no content. Kaylee and Naked, we'll talk about them. Sorry for the inconsistent lighting. I don't know what's going on. So as I was saying, I think Annie and Two-Face, especially Annie, she is a cautionary tale. She is what happens when you love a man more than he loves you. And I would always caution a woman from being in a relationship where she feels like her husband is doing her the favor. You can see that the woman is like starved of affection. She gets so excited when Two-Face calls. She gets so excited when he's in the room, and a lot of people picked up on the dynamic between Annie and Two-Face, that Annie kind of behaves like a fan. And somebody said it, and as soon as they said it, I was like, that's actually true. Like, she gets crazy giddy, and it's one thing to be excited about your husband, but something about that dynamic gives off this feeling that she's like love starved, like she doesn't get what she needs from her husband. And it made me sad for her. Because she's such a lovely lady, and you can see that he has broken her, because he was her first love and she didn't know much else. And this is kind of the danger of marrying and being in a relationship with somebody from a very young age, where you haven't actually had experience with other people, you haven't had other relationship experience. Your perspective, like, you tend to put all your eggs in. I just bit my tongue, Lord have mercy. Your perspective is kind of warped, like that you get tunnel vision towards that person, so much so that you don't see yourself being with anybody else. And those of us who have a bit more dating experience, we can see ourselves with somebody else. A breakup isn't the end of the world. But people like Annie, I think she's so invested in her husband and her marriage, not only because she was there before he got famous, but because she was there so young. Like, she's known him and loved him from such a young age, from such an impressionable age, 15 years old. I think this relationship of hers is the kind of relationship that we saw our grandmothers and our aunts and our moms struggle with, generally speaking. And like I said, in African culture, cheating isn't necessarily the most detrimental thing. If a man cheats but still comes home, there are many women who can take it. Like, if he cheats and he still comes home and he tells me he loves me and he brings money and he takes care of his responsibilities, I can handle it. If he leaves me, it's humiliating. But if he's still willing to come home, if he's still willing to treat me like the main, he's still willing to respect me as the wife, it's okay. But her relationship dynamic for me made me uncomfortable and sad for her. but it's what she wants. It's what she's chosen. And as long as you can stand in the decision you've made and you can live with it, clearly she wants to be in the relationship. She's happy. She feels like they've gotten over a hurdle. She feels like they're in a new space in their relationship. And I want her to enjoy that. But Two-Face better not bring a baby number 6 into that relationship. He better not bring baby. He's humiliated this woman enough. Bastard. So I'm not going to break down every episode between episode 3 and 7 just because I think there's no need. But in summation, I think this definitely deserves a season 2. In season 2, I'd like to see the following. I'd like to see these people do what they do. You know, give people a sense of why you became famous. I feel like a lot of people had never heard of most of this cast. And so I feel like it didn't answer the question of how did they become famous and how did they make their money. That question should have been answered in season 1, because season 1 is about introducing these people, not just relationships and friendships, but how did they become young African and famous? I mean, obviously African, they were born African, but I mean, like, how did they become these young African famous icons that they're presenting themselves to be? The fact that the entire series went by and we never saw Diamond on stage, we never saw Diamond at an award show, we never saw Nadia in studio, we never saw Khanyi do a photo shoot, we never saw Naked be at Metro FM studios, we never saw Andile presenting his sports show. Like, we didn't see these people do what they do. So there's more questions than answers about who they are. I found it very bizarre that they didn't go into their careers. And in season 2, I'd like to see them go in there. I'm so sorry that I swallow so much. I have such a wet mouth. But yeah, in season 2, I'd like to see these people show us what they do and how they became stars. And I'd like to feel their star power. I didn't feel their star power. Like, you could be bamboozling everybody. You could just be telling everybody we're stars in Africa, but actually you're not. So I just feel like the show should have answered the question of how did they become stars, and the show should have actually given us a feel of their star power, and it didn't. In terms of who was the messiest, because it's a reality show, who was the messiest? Zari was the freaking messiest. Zari was the messiest. I don't give a crap. Zari was the messiest. You have no business pulling a woman's husband to the side and saying your wife is insecure, she thinks we banged. What are you doing, Zari? What are you doing? Zari was the messiest, followed closely behind by Andile and his messy tendencies of trying to flirt with his boy's baby mama. So Zari was the messiest, followed by the boys nje, as a conglomerate. Andile and Naked as a unit, they were messy, and then Khanyi was also pretty messy as well. But yeah, no, listen, season 2, we are here. Yeah, that's it for my review. I'm done. Mwah.